Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Can
Donna.
were, were you just calling me?
Yeah, because I didn't see you joining, so I'm here and ready.
Okay, so I'm seeing something in the chat. Oh,
Yeah, I can
I
see our participants. If everyone in the chat, I think one thing to get us started is we want to make sure you can hear us. So we see you, Aaron. Just say hello. Why don't you tell us where you're from and what the weather is like? Because Donna, we're experiencing some pretty crazy weather here.
we are experiencing some pretty. Oh, okay. I see Lynn. I see Aaron. Oh, wow. We have a lot of people. Oh,
Yep,
someone's got floods.
Virginia, upstate New York, windy New Jersey. Right, whoever's in the Northeast, the winds are insane. Florida's hot, huh, Beth? Green Bay -8. Green Bay? Come on.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. So we shouldn't complain about a little wind over here, should we, Mike?
No, I don't think so. So everyone, welcome to our topic today. We're going to be talking about being a high valued coach. We do want to welcome everyone's coming on board. We had a huge number of people sign up for this, so we actually had to change the Zoom account to accommodate everyone. I want a lot of people to connect. We have some people connecting internationally. Someone's in -25 Calgary. Is that you, Mark Johnson? That's insanely cold. I'm actually heading up to Alberta and then Saskatchewan later next week. So I'll be joining that bitter cold. But we wanted to welcome everyone. And I wanted to share a brief outline, Donna, before we kick things off of what we're going to be covering today. And then you can lead the show.
Yeah. Oh, and before I do that, I just have a little bit of housekeeping to throw in there. A couple of things. As Mike mentioned, it is quite windy here, and I know some of our neighbors have been experiencing power outages. If for some crazy reason, and I shouldn't even put this out in the universe, but if for some crazy reason one of us loses power and we disappear, we will be back. I've got I've got wires running to get the computer back up and running. But so don't worry, if you lose one of us, just hang tight and we'll come back. And the other thing that I want to tell you is that we will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. And if you look at the bottom of your screen, if you scroll over the bottom of the screen, you'll see a couple of notches over to the left of the chat. You'll see something called Q&A. So if you are listening to us and you have questions as we go along, post them in the Q&A and we will get to as many as we can at the end. Okay. And so what we're going to do here is we are first going to start by just introducing ourselves and telling you why it is that we are here today talking to you about becoming a high-value business coach, what led us here. And then I am going to take a deep dive into what you need to do in order to accomplish that goal of becoming a high-value business coach. And then we're going to tell you about an opportunity that we have for those of you who are interested and for whom it's a right fit for. And I believe that Mike has one of his hot tips that he's going to save till the very end, right, Mike?
Yeah. When we were developing this course over the few weeks, I said there's one thing in particular I want to share, but we were able to pack it in at the end, almost like a cliffhanger.
Yeah, we love those cliffhangers.
And what's our runtime, just so everyone knows?
I think, well, we're going to keep it to an hour, but the presentation is going to run about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A.
Great. So if everyone just watching, if you could block out for the next 55 minutes or so, turn off the distractions and stuff. We think we have some very powerful stuff for you. But first, Don, to your point, let's start with an introduction. My name is Mike Michalowicz, and some of you may know myself, some of you may know Donna, some of you may know both of us, or maybe we're both brand new to you. So we just want to share a little bit about our backgrounds. I'm the author of The Pumpkin Plan, and it was my first mainstream published book that ultimately became a game changer for me.
Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying they're having trouble hearing you. Is there a way for you to maybe get closer to your mic or something?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me make sure I'm on the right mic. Thank you guys for pointing that out. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. I can see the audio feed. It looks like it's fine. Everyone else says they can hear it well. If you're having difficulties hearing me or Donna, please just turn up the volume on your side. That's probably it. Okay. So just to reintroduce myself, I am the author of The Pumpkin Plan. It was my first mainstream book. But I think really the inception of how it came about may be the most interesting. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I started in the tech space. I was a computer guy. I was the guy that come to your office or your home to fix your computer, often making the situation worse and charge you, $500 for the experience. I was wondering why my business was struggling. I was struggling because I didn't understand basic fundamentals to business growth. I was trying to do everything. Ultimately, I hired a business coach, and this is where I came to understand the impact a business coach can have when they have a signature program that they can deliver to you. Before that, I'd been talking with people that coined themselves as mentors or consultants or coaches, and they came in with their standard fare. I hired a guy, his name specifically was Frank Michalowicz. I still occasionally meet with him, and he came into my business, evaluated my situation, and then delivered to me ultimately what I deemed the Pumpkin Plan. The Pumpkin Plan was a combination of what I learned from Frank Michalowicz, and also what he invited me to do was study occurrences in nature. Because once you understand what happens in nature, often those are the ultimate lessons that translate back to business. So my little business that was doing, when I hired my coach, $200,000 or $300,000 in revenue and struggling to stay afloat, ultimately grew to $2+ million before I sold it to private equity. I then replicated this process, the Pumpkin Plan, for my second company, which was in computer crime investigation. My company facilitated the Enron trial. So if you're familiar with that, we were one of the lead investigators on the Enron trial, along with some other celebrity cases. Didn't start out doing these big cases. I bootstrapped the business from the beginning, but immediately applied what I now coined the Pumpkin Plan to that business and went through a very rapid, healthy, organic growth trajectory. I subsequently then have run other businesses, but followed what I believe it to be my life's calling, which is to be an author. Specifically, I am on a mission to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And perhaps you can relate to this. There's this perception that the day you start your business, how many of your friends, you become a coach, how many of your friends say, oh my God, now you're a millionaire, and all you do is sit around drinking Mai Tais or something and get on a phone call once a day. That's about it. That's the perception. The reality is we work our tail off. Most coaches aren't making a dime. We are actually funding the business to stay afloat. It's this gap between what's perceived and the reality that I call entrepreneurial poverty. And I've made my life's mission to close that gap because I lived that myself. And so I want to close that gap. I believe every coach should be extremely profitable, to be able to have stability in their own business in order to offer stability to other businesses. So that's why I'm on this path. And the Pumpkin Plan has gone on as my first mainstream book to sell. Donna, we were talking about this off air. Over 100,000 copies now. It's been translated into multiple languages, Spanish. Actually, the new Spanish re-release is coming out in about 3 months. And it's in Russian and so forth and so on. And when I wrote that book, it became very apparent I needed to find someone to lead the organization. What happened, Don, and you'll remember this, I started getting emails from people saying, I love the Pumpkin Plan. Who's the coach that has this as their signature program? Who's living by, or who has become certified in these principles? And that was my aha moment. I'm not a coach. I'm a business owner who loves to dabble in trying to coach, but really isn't. So I wanted to find a business owner who's also a coach. Mutual friends put myself and Donna together now. This was about 10 years ago. And we met from day one. I knew Donna is the authority in taking a program, a concept like the Pumpkin Plan, and making it to a program where a consultancy organization, a coaching organization could grow out of it. We started together now, I think in 2012, our organization launched, and it's been wildly successful. I'm very proud to say that today we've grown so much now that we are seeking more people to join our organization, more strategists. But we'll save that for later. Donna, it's a privilege. It's really a privilege to do this with you. I enjoy so much what you have to teach that, as you know, we have you coming to my office yet again to teach us the strategies. So welcome to our event together. And if you would, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure. And I'm having a lot of fun seeing in the chat. I just want to give a shout out to some of our old friends who have kind of been following us from the beginning. Mike and I in 2013 did a Creative Live workshop together, and I see a couple people who were in the audience there with us who are in the chat now. So shout out to everybody who has been with us and joining us in this adventure from since 2012. Hi, Debbie, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what I'm going to do before I jump into my part of the story, I'm actually going to share my screen with you all. And I'm going, this is going to take me 1 second. And then what I'm going to do is pull up, oh, of course, I'm not at the beginning, am I? Okay, so what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about why we're here today, and then I'm going to tell you about why I'm here today. As you can see, here, let me get this slideshow going. Here we are. Okay, so I did have one person tell me that the only reason they were coming on the webinar is because they liked this picture of me and Mike so much. So if you are losing sales because you struggle to explain to prospective clients what you can do for them, if you are not feeling confident that you can get consistent results for your clients, if you are struggling to establish credibility with your prospects, if you're reinventing the wheel with every coaching engagement, which is whittling away at your profit margins, if you're dreaming of leveraging your time and maximizing your results for your own business as well as your clients' businesses, and if you are an entrepreneur or business owner about to take that leap and add business coaching to your service offering, then you're in the right place. We're really glad that you're here with us today because we think you'll take away some really valuable information. So I'm going to sort of backtrack to my own story, and then I'll lead up to when I met Mike. I started my career on Wall Street a long enough time ago that I don't actually want to tell you how many years ago it was. I have an MBA in finance, and I thought I was going to be this big Wall Street mogul. And the big problem was I didn't like it very much. I was that person who couldn't wait for the end of the day to go home. What my real passion was entrepreneurship. I dreamed of being a business owner, of starting something amazing. And the truth was that what held me back was fear. I just didn't have the courage to do it. But when I left Wall Street to raise my family, I never looked back. I knew I wasn't going back to that. In 2002, I finally got up the nerve. I had a business partner and I started my first business. It was a jewelry company. And I realized almost immediately that my MBA did not prepare me in the least for being a small business owner. Yeah. There was just so much to know and so much that we didn't know. There were some things that we did really well from the beginning and a lot that was just pure trial and error. It was a great learning experience, but it was also quite stressful at times. We managed it. We figured it out as we went along. It was a great business. It was a fun business. But after about 7 years, I really hit a crossroads. And I was asking myself, is this what I want to do with the rest of my life? Part of the problem, I was burned out. And what I know now is that that's really common for small business owners. And if I had known then what I know now, things might have been different. But I just couldn't see continuing on with this business the way it was. And on top of that, I really wanted to do something more impactful. I wanted to do something that made a difference. And I'm thinking that a lot of you who are on this webinar today feel that way too. I felt like I wanted to contribute something more. So what I decided to do is get trained as a coach. And I went through a coach training program. It was life-changing. I mean, really life-changing. It was amazing. And when I was done, I was super psyched. I was so psyched to take all of my business knowledge and all of the things that I had learned the hard way as a business owner, plus my new coaching skills. And I wanted to take all of that and work with entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into these amazing businesses that they dreamed of. I wanted to help them knock it out of the ballpark, avoid all of those bumps in the road that I had encountered as a business owner who didn't know what I was doing. I was so pumped. And I'm guessing that at least some of you on this webinar today are in that same spot. Maybe you're entrepreneurs, you're business owners, you're ready to move on to that next thing. You want to share your knowledge and skills with other business owners who are still struggling. So I'm thinking at least some of you can relate to that. So here I am. I go out into the world armed with all of my skills and knowledge and enthusiasm, and I struggled. I struggled to explain to business owners what I could do for them. I can help you with whatever you need. It didn't cut it. I wasn't attracting a lot of people with that. It was also hard to establish credibility, especially when it seemed like everybody else had a track record and were touting their great results, and I didn't have any yet. Eventually, I did figure out how to get some clients to take a chance on me, and I started working with clients, and then guess what? I still struggled, but then I was constantly reinventing the wheel. I was spending tons of time prepping for each session. I was doing research. I was worrying about whether I was going to have the right answers. Was I going to have the right questions? What was I going to do with them next? Great, we just accomplished this. What's the next step? I worried about whether I was going to get good results. Honestly, it was exhausting and not a very efficient use of my time. I realized when I thought about it that what I needed was a system. I needed a framework. What I had was a lot of knowledge and skills, but no systematic way to present it. I didn't have a system, and I didn't have a specific result that I was working towards. I was just kind of like, yeah, I can do a lot of different things. And I wasn't specific about who I was going to do it for. So that's why I was floundering, and I knew I needed something. And when I was out there looking for something, that's when a mutual colleague introduced me to Mike. Okay. And Mike was about to publish the pumpkin plan. There he is.
That was not the day we met, by the way. That was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. When I started growing this monstrosity on my face.
Yeah, his beard would have been a different color way back then. Yeah. But actually, the day we met, we did talk for quite some time, Mike, right? Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met Mike, and he was about to publish the pumpkin plan. He gave me an advance copy, and I knew immediately as I was reading through this book, this is something that I can sink my teeth into. I knew I could create a program around these methods and the ideas in this book. So we launched our business. We called it Provendus Group, which is short for the Latin word promovendus, which means to move something forward. And the first thing we did was we started working with clients together. And we were developing tools as we went along. There are a few tools in the book, but we were, we thought, well, we need more than just a few tools. And so we worked together. We saw what worked and what didn't work. And then we took it all and we put it together. And the result was the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide. Oh, wait, here's us again. I knew we would get there eventually. The Pumpkin Plan Action Guide. And what the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide was, and still is a step-by-step system of removing the obstacles to growth and setting companies up to execute a strategy that would produce both profitable growth and time freedom for the business owner. Now I'm going to say that again. Profitable growth and time freedom for the business owner. I now had a clear result to talk about and a path to get there. And something amazing happened. As soon as we had codified this program and put it into a step program, and I started using the action guide with clients, it suddenly became easy to describe to people what I did and what I could do for them, what the journey was going to be for the client, and what was going to be the result that they would achieve as they went through this program. It literally was like somebody had flipped a switch. And suddenly, instead of struggling to explain to people what I did, I don't want to say everybody was saying yes, but a majority of the prospective clients that I spoke to were saying yes, and they were clients that I was really excited to work with. The process of working with them also became much easier. I had tools at my fingertips. I had confidence. I didn't have to worry about what was the next step. I learned to trust the process, and the process delivered. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I can't even count the number of times that I said to myself, like especially within that first year, wow, look at that. It worked again. I didn't say it very loud. I didn't want anybody to hear that. But it's true. Like I kept going, wow, I can't believe it. It worked again. But that was the benefit of having a process at my fingertips. So the answer to all of those challenges that I highlighted at the beginning, like, a few minutes ago when I started talking, it's the secret to becoming a high value business coach is a signature program that has a clear pathway to a clear result and the tools to get those results every time. Now, some of you, those of you who are Mike Michalowicz fans and have read all his books, would have heard of immutable laws. Immutable laws are like your biggest values that never go away. So 2 of our immutable laws are authenticity and integrity. And we really believe that if you want to be authentic and do business with integrity, then the way to receive high value from your clients is to create high value for your clients. Okay? And when you have this kind of a program and you have effective tools and the ability to consistently create high value for your clients, then you can confidently ask for and receive high value for your services. What I have found is one of the biggest challenges with enrolling clients in a coaching or a consulting engagement is that coaching and consulting isn't tangible. It's not like, oh, I'm selling you this pen and you're going to get you're going to get something that writes. It's not tangible. Prospective clients, they're nervous to invest because they can't put their finger on what they're going to get in return. They can't define the return. They know they need help, but they're not sure what they're going to get for their money.
Do you mind if I just one additional insight here, Donna?
Yeah.
So people have been asking me about this too. And one analogy I've been using is the comparison of a general practitioner doctor versus a heart surgeon. When a person's having a heart attack, you don't go to your general practitioner and say, hey, can you resolve this? And the general practitioner says, I've never done heart surgery, but I'll give it a try. It's, when our life is on the line, we want to go to someone that's done not this process for the first time, but maybe the 1,000th time, that they have a proven track record and they have a very specific system and protocol they follow because our life is on the line. And the analogy, Donna, you and I both throw this around every so often, is there are certain businesses that see their business's life on the line. They plateaued. They can't break through growth. And they are not looking for that general practitioner who this is going to be their first attempt at doing this. They want someone with a proven, repeatable process that can save their life. That's the differentiating high-valued coach, someone that can nail this one issue and they've done it over again and they have a backing of a process versus someone that's a generalist.
Absolutely, 100%, Mike. And you don't have to, and here's a little tip. If you have a process, you don't have to tell your prospective clients the step-by-step process that you're going to take them through. You just have to show them that you have a process and that you know that there's a result. So your heart surgeon doesn't necessarily show you all the instruments and, show you like every piece of your heart that they're going to operate on. Right. They tell you, we're going to do a procedure and here's going to be the result. right? And this is, I'm just throwing that little tip out there because I think it's a little bit of a mistake that people make sometimes, giving their prospective clients too much detail about what's going to happen, and that can overwhelm them. But knowing that you have a process is the key. And when you have that kind of step-by-step program, it becomes easy to talk about what you do in an understandable way. And when you can do that, you can attract the exact clients that you want to work with. You also can stop reinventing the wheel with every client. And I know that if you guys are coaches and consultants or in that type of industry, you know what I'm talking about, where you've got a different client that needs something different every time, and you're taking a lot of your time prepping for those sessions with your client. And that leads into, you can spend less time preparing and more time actually helping your clients get results. And when you have a step-by-step program, you can also have confidence that your client will get the results that they desire. I have spoken to so many coaches and consultants, and this is the thing that maybe they don't want to talk about, but it's there and it's normal. It's that feeling of, am I going to live up to their expectations? And when you can go into an engagement with confidence, that makes a huge, huge difference. So I know that you've probably heard this before. You should have a signature program. You should have a program that encapsulates what you do. I also know that is way easier said than done. I've heard people throw that out there like, here's what you do, blah, blah, blah. Create a signature program, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a minute.
But to your point, this is the hallelujah moment. If you want to be a high value coach, you must have a signature program, because that speaks to a very specific, repeatable process that saves business lives, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you the process of how to create a signature program. I know some of you, we're going to tell you a bit about our program at the end, but I know some of you here maybe are not business coaches, maybe you're in other consulting industries, and I want you to have a sense of what this process is. So step one, define your target market or ideal client. Mike's been talking about being a specialist. The first thing you need to do is know who you are working for. And, if you're not able to specifically define who you are going to be working with and what you're doing for them, it is very, very hard to develop any sort of consistent system. If everybody needs something different, then you can't have a system that works for everybody. But if you can tightly define who you're working with, then it's very easy to create a process that is going to work for them, and create something that speaks just to them. Step two, after you define who you're going to be helping and working for, is to conduct a needs assessment of your ideal client. You want to know what their biggest problems are. Not all of their problems. You really want to focus in on what their biggest, most painful problems are. And the best way to do this, and I know Mike's going to agree with this, is to talk to them. And I don't mean send out a survey and hope some people fill it out. I mean, actually, pick 5 of your best clients and get on the phone and talk to them. Or if you don't have clients yet, pick 5 people who would be your ideal client if you did have clients, and see if you can get them to talk to you. And what you want to do is pay attention to how they describe their problems, to the exact words that they use. Write it down or record it, because this is going to be really helpful to you later when you are creating your messaging. Because when you use their words instead of your own jargony words, I never want you to use jargon with a prospective client. Always use their words, the way they would describe their problem, because that shows them that you understand them and you understand their problem. and it is going to be way easier to attract the clients that you want to work with because they know that you know them. They're going to say to themselves, hey, how did she get in my head? Or how did he get in my head? Step 3 is to conduct a goals assessment of your ideal client. And I know some of you are saying, well, what's the difference between needs and goals? So needs are their problems. It's where they are today. It's their pain points. Goals are what they want. And a lot of times that's really what you need to speak to your clients about first is what they want. Because they may not want to talk about what they need, but they definitely will talk to you about what they want. And the key here is that the goals assessment is aspirational. That's going to be their shining star. So you're going to talk to them, you're going to figure out what their problems are, and you're going to tell them you're going to help them solve their problems and attain this goal. And that's why you want to know, like, what are the common goals of your target audience? Step 4 is to take all of this information, step 1, step 2, step 3, and create and document a process with tools, a definable process for consistently solving their problems and helping them achieve their goals. Now, if you already have a process, this stage basically entails taking that process out of your head and documenting it and creating tools. This is quite time consuming. It took me months and months to create the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide, and I am constantly updating it and refining it. It's kind of a living thing. It doesn't ever go away. It's not like you kind of throw a few tools out there once and you're done, because your clients are always evolving, and what you deliver to them can also continue to evolve.
And Donna, just add to that, there's this collect input. So the Pumpkin Plan specifically, we've been so blessed through our strategist, as it's been rolled out, we get feedback saying, here's new challenges that industry's facing. And Donna, you've accumulated this knowledge, and then you refine it down into the action guide. So if you want to be when you develop a signature program or brand for your own coaching practice, you need to constantly be collecting from as many inputs as possible to see, is there a trend or a change so that your signature program can be developed. You definitely don't want something that's 30, 40 years old or even 5 years old, because technology and needs are changing so quickly. You need to be constantly modifying.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I find because I'm interacting with strategists all the time, every time I get off of a phone call, I'm going, all right, how much time do I have? I need to update that tool to address this, or
right.
I've got an idea for another tool that will get some more knowledge out of my head and into a process. So what you need to do is start to think about, what are the questions that I always ask? What are the steps that I always take my clients through? And get that into a documentation so that you're not constantly trying to pull it out of your head. And then you need to put it into an order that makes sense. Create modules that build on themselves so that, step 1, step 2, step 3 all builds on itself. And I do want to point out again, I feel like I can't stress this enough. The more similar your clients are to each other, the easier this is to do. So if all of your clients are different, if you thought you could skip step number 1 and not define your target market or ideal client, it's going to be very difficult because your clients all will need different things. So for example, the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide, it may not be geared towards any specific industry, but it's definitely geared towards a certain type of business, which is a small business that is growing, that has experienced some growth, and then has gotten stuck in some stage of growth. And we have some very specific symptoms that the clients or the potential clients are experiencing that we can say we can solve. So we really got to know, Mike really got to know that market. And everything Mike writes is about the small business market. And the more we get to know them, the more we can develop tools and processes that will help them get past their problems. So the last thing that you do after you develop all of this is test it and show that it works. So this really involves keeping track of and documenting your results as you work with clients. You need to ask for testimonials, and you want to ask for testimonials that talk about your results. I know lots of people like to write, Mike was a pleasure to work with. I'm sure you're all a pleasure to work with, but that's not the kind of testimonial that's going to get you a track record. Right. What you really need to do is understand the results that your clients are getting and be able to talk about that. And I'll be honest, and I said it earlier in my own story, that's the hardest part when you're first starting out. It's one of the benefits of using a system like the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide that's been tested. It's been used for years. It's helped hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses to grow and thrive and get past the obstacles that have been holding them back. It's an established program, and an established program gives you that credibility almost instantly.
And just adding to this, Donna, the signature program, just so everyone's aware, is you need to develop some form of intellectual property, a new spin or approach to something, a new methodology that distinguishes yourself in the market. I think that's the key, and then propagate that by repeating this process, doing all the elements, Donna, that you shared here. As an author now, I'm not a coach. That's why I teamed up with Donna. I couldn't find a way for myself to do both because it got overwhelming to try to develop something and roll it out. So I've devoted myself to intellectual property development, the Pumpkin Plan, Profit First, perhaps some people have heard of that, or Clockwork, other books I've written. And Donna, you've taken the Pumpkin Plan specifically and put it into a system based upon target clients, needs assessments, goals, and so forth. So as everyone's considering this, I just want you to think of what's the unique intellectual property you can develop, a distinct approach to something, then build this process around it. Is that 1-2 kind of punch that will really make you an extremely highly valuable coach?
Yeah, thank you for adding that. So yes, this is the process that I went through to develop the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide. So going back to my story, after working with clients for about a year, developing the program as we went along, and once we knew that it really worked, I had said, oh my gosh, it worked again a whole bunch of times. Mike and I realized it was too important to keep to ourselves and just try to get it out there, just the two of us. And as Mike said, coaching and consulting is not really what he does. He's the author and the guy who loves to get out there and really talk about these concepts and the thought leader. And so I knew that if we wanted to make a bigger impact, we needed to teach this to other people. And we were able to do that because it was a codified step-by-step process. And Mike mentioned this earlier. He's on a personal mission to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And I'm on a personal mission to save small businesses from extinction. Those two go together really nicely. So we knew that if we taught this to other consultants and coaches and advisors and gave them the tools to coach their clients to extraordinary results, we would really multiply the impact. The really cool thing is that we've also seen a huge impact on the businesses of the coaches, and we actually call them strategists, on the strategists that join our program. And what we'd like to do is just highlight one of those stories. So Mike, I thought I could throw this over to you and you can tell them about how Dr. Sabrina has leveraged the Pumpkin Plan to create a really high value coaching company for herself and grow her own coaching business by 400% over the last 6 years without working harder.
Right. That's the amazing part. Now, there was a couple of pictures I curated. I don't know. Do you have? Yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
So you'll see Donna, and there's Dr. Starling sitting with her in the top left, enjoying a cup of coffee in the middle shot there, and then down in the bottom right is me and Dr. Starling talking. Now, one thing is interesting, that's a retreat facility, as you can see in the space in the background. By the way, that retreat facility has become her house. And I think that's kind of a remarkable thing to point out is Dr. Starling's business has been so successful that the facility where she now conducts her events, there's a wing in the house where she does her coaching, and there's a wing where she lives with her family. What I like about her story is she did exactly, Donna, what you scripted out. She decided to embrace a branded strategy, something that became her signature program. Now, instead of redeveloping the wheel, she saw and decided to leverage the pumpkin plan due to its popularity and the growing popularity. As I've devoted my life to writing books and serving entrepreneurs, as all books gain popularity, all the other books are getting more and more popularity. That's just an aside, but as a result, she was able to take the pumpkin plan strategy and use it to immediately distinguish herself. And she kind of checked off some of those boxes, Donna, that you went through. The other component was she was able to work, Donna, with you specifically. And you continue to work very closely hand in hand with the strategist to figure out who is the ideal client this will resonate with. What is your distinct offering that will make you stand out as not just a Prevendus strategist, someone that's doing the pumpkin plan, but what's the community you can resonate with? And it actually went through a layered iteration strategy you used, first identifying that rural communities could really benefit this and rural businesses. And you started growing this with her very quickly. And then she introduced another layer. Manufacturers businesses came in, and now it's layering up again. As a result, Dr. Starling now, I believe, has 2 full-time strategists. The nice thing that we all should be exploring as coaches is you have a choice. You can be a coach yourself and see through the work, doing the work yourself till the end of your career, if that's what you choose. Or there's another path where you can look to start a coaching organization where you're not the core coach. Maybe you do some of that in the beginning, but you transition to the true definition of an entrepreneur, someone managing the organization. And that's the path, the second path that Dr. Starling decided to take on. She has subsequently grown her business. She has 2 strategists. I believe she has a full-time salesperson, administrative help, and the organization has grown extraordinarily quickly. The beautiful thing, too, as she's actively using the Prevendus brand, the pumpkin plan specifically, and delivering that, I'm getting calls every so often. Hey, I saw Dr. Starling was teaching this method. I love that she's working with you. And as my exposure increases, she's leveraging that. And as the brand increases, everyone's getting further exposure. So it's kind of a cool collaborative, which you don't see often in the coaching industry. Often it's, this coach or that coach, but now we see kind of the community elevating together. And Dr. Starling is just a great example of what a coach can do. You don't have to do all the work yourself. If you have a signature program, you can elevate where the business runs on automatic.
Yeah, I mean, and what I would add to that is, we met Sabrina back when she was the first coach to sign up with us, actually. And she had a goal then. She said, I want to be able to scale my business the way I'm teaching my clients to scale their businesses. I want to walk the talk. And we have been with her every step of the way on that, realizing that if we have a couple of strategists who are interested in this, there must be others. And the goal of our program was to give her the tools to be able to do that, because one of the biggest challenges with bringing in other coaches is, how do you know they're going to get the same results as you? Mike, I think you had this challenge in your first consulting company that everybody wanted you, right? Before you learned how to systematize it, everybody wanted you because they didn't trust that the other employees could do as good of a job. And when Dr. Starling mentioned to me a couple of years ago, I want to bring on another strategist, I was able to actually say to her, I actually know somebody who's already gone through the program who I think would be great and would be interested. So there's this, I know these people so well, like we're a family, and I think we are all here to learn from each other and to support each other. And I just think it is so cool that she can and has been able to, and we have other strategists who are now doing the same thing, able to realize her own dreams of being that entrepreneur, as opposed to just doing all of the coaching herself. And there's nothing wrong with doing the coaching yourself. And I will tell you that every time I create a system in my own business, even if I'm still the one doing it, it makes my life easier. So there's a lot to be said for having these systems and also them being able to delegate.
One thing that Donna, we've done with Prevendus, you're the president of Prevendus, and you and I meet regularly. I'm out there trying to constantly curate new concepts and ideas to really eradicate entrepreneurial poverty, to serve that. You and I meet on a regular basis, and now we might be using Voxer to communicate more often, sharing concepts. And one thing that I want to share, one last point with Dr. Sabrina, I would deliver the concept of the 4-week vacation to you. You're the first person to learn about that. I subsequently have written about it in one of my books. I wrote about it. I shared it with you. You brought it to Dr. Sabrina and started a little test bed. And she became an organizer of the 4-week vacation club and implemented in her own business. And that points back to having a signature program. A signature program is a living, breathing document or process. If the process stays stagnant, so does your business to some degree. So I like that we have that. To your point of a family, that you've put the other different people in different roles and are using as a conduit to further the strategists in the Prevendus organization.
Yeah.
This is something we all can use. Once you have a signature program, how do you constantly develop it and enhance it? That definitely distinguishes you.
Yeah, and the other piece of it is that a lot of our strategists they take the pumpkin plan as the jumping off point, and as they learn more about their ideal client, they can then add their own additional intellectual property to that customizes their offering even more. But they have that underlying signature program as their jumping off point.
Right.
It sort of gets you into the habit and the routine of working with a process as opposed to working session by session and trying to figure it out as you go along. That is definitely one of the advantages, that your own business becomes easier and you can create this growth much more easily than if you were trying to do it kind of all yourself. Okay, anything more to say about Dr. Sabrina before we go on?
I'm good.
Okay, and I know she's going to be listening to this later too. So I hope she likes everything we said about her.
She's pretty remarkable. I think she will like everything. Even if she doesn't, she knows the success she's brought to herself.
Yeah, and she's not the only one, but she certainly gave us permission to tell her story. So as we said earlier, we're looking for at least 10 new strategists to join our training program. And we have a new group starting in just a few weeks. And so what I'd like to do now is take a minute just to tell you a little bit about the program. Our strategist training and certification program, meaning you get a certification in the Pumpkin Plan program, provides you with the knowledge and the tools to coach small businesses on how to grow profitably and efficiently, giving the owner time and financial freedom. So you got to help them grow, but grow profitably and create those efficient systems. And the result is they make the money they want to make and they have a life. It also provides you with everything we just discussed, the signature program and the support. So if you think you want to become a Pumpkin Plan business growth strategist, and you're ready to invest in yourself by investing in our program, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a robust, interactive program that's going to give you the skills and the confidence that you need to stand out in the small business coaching arena. You're going to get full access to the Pumpkin Plan Action Guide, which contains approximately 40 different business tools and training videos. So no more reinventing the wheel. And by the way, The Pumpkin Plan Action Guide is actually all online. It's no longer, the first version was a binder, a printed binder, but now it can all be accessed online. You got full access to the Prevendus Growth Academy, which has tools and resources for growing your coaching business. You get the ability to earn certification in our program and the credibility and the name recognition that goes along with that. As Mike said, 100,000 copies of the Pumpkin Plan have already sold worldwide. And you get access to those proven results. You can use this proven program. So even if you're just starting out, you can say that you have proven results behind you. And you will get help pumpkin planning your own business. So you can define a niche and become an in-demand, high-value expert. Okay. So at this point, some of you, at least some of you might be thinking, is this a fit for me? So here's who's a great fit for our certification program. Number one, you have business experience. Either you're an entrepreneur and you're ready to take that, kind of move into another stage of your life and your career, and you now want to become a coach or consultant, or you're in a related business such as accounting or bookkeeping, or you're a marketing strategist and you want to add business growth coaching to what you already do, or you might be a business coach or consultant already and you're looking for a system and tools to help you help your clients and help you grow your own business as well. Number two, you recognize the value of a done-for-you program. You want to get out there and do what you love and what you're good at, which is working with clients. You don't have any desire to spend weeks or months creating your own program. And this is something that almost everybody who joins us tells us, that one of the biggest benefits to them was that they did not have to do this piece themselves. You're a lifelong learner. Our strategists all love to learn. They're always looking for the newest, best way to do something, and they thrive in our community of strategists who are really knowledge thirsty. We love to talk about new ideas and concepts, and we are always teaching and learning from each other. You want to scale your own business. You want the tools to be able to grow your own thriving business and maybe get off of that treadmill and that dollars per hour, sell, deliver, and be able to grow a little more quickly and more easily. You want the credibility of a proven program behind you. You don't want to have to go through those months or years of establishing that your program works. And you're looking to create high value for your clients and for yourself. You want to make more money, but not just doing just anything. You want to make more money as a result of creating more value for your clients. And this is really important, you share our passion for supporting small businesses. This is not a program that you're going to take into a big corporation. This is a small business program, and if you love small business and small business owners, it's a great program for you. So Mike, do you want to tell them what their next steps would be, and then we'll go into Q&A, or then you'll share your tip, and then we can go into Q&A?
Yeah, or maybe we go right into Q&A, just the tip we can save to the very end. So
okay.
I just posted a link in the chat to everyone. This is an application. We are looking, Donna said at least 10, at most 15. We are looking for a small group. There are, I think it was over 800 people watching this. So we are not just looking for anyone. We are looking for people who are very committed, as Donna shared, to small business and want a signature program that's already been done for you. If you want to develop your own program, you now have the strategy, and go do that. But if you want to do something and implement it right away, you don't want to spend the months or even, like Donna, you pointed out, years, this program may be a fit. The process is once you fill out the application, we are doing live interviews. Donna's leading the vast majority of them to make sure that you're a compliment to our organization and that we're a compliment to you. So you now know the qualifications. It is, to some degree, first come, first serve. So if you're interested in applying for consideration to become part of the Prevendus Group and be a pumping plan expert, go to that link that you see on the screen. If anyone does not have the screen enabled, just listen to audio. It is prevendusgroup.com/apply to become a strategist with a dash between each word. So apply-to-become-a-strategist. So prevendusgroup.com, apply strategist. It is also in the chat, and just invite you guys to do it right now. And Don, I think we got a little bit of time to stay within our time window to do questions now, and then I can give the last tip as a wrap up for our classes.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to open up, we're back. I'm going to open up the Q&A. And I do want to say that I have a number of appointments open all this week. I'm going to be doing these informational interviews all this week. If for some reason you're really interested and you can't find an appointment that works for you, you'll be able to email me and we'll find another appointment, but we want to do as many as we can this week. So just giving you a heads up on that.
The first question I see is coming up in the chat. I also see it in the Q&A. Is the investment in Prevendus? So maybe we should tackle that right away.
Okay, sure. So the investment, there are two ways to invest. You can invest on an annual basis and it is renewable. So if you want to maintain your certification and your ability to use all of the tools and the name and and be a licensee, it is $3,997 for the year. Or if you want to pay on a monthly basis, it's $397 a month. So you save a little bit by investing for the year, but it is non-refundable if you get the invest for the year.
Yeah, and you get the entire signature program. And also, you ask people, I say, what's your marketing spend? You know, what do you do to develop your website, your ads on Facebook and stuff? Realize this is also a immediate differentiator. You're affiliated with the Pumpkin Plan book. It is a massive marketing bonus because you have instant affiliation. You'll get the SEO traffic as people look for strategists in this category. So also compares to your existing marketing spend and the value you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, Mike. Thanks for remembering that. So I'm going to open up the Q&A. And Mike, if you want to look in the chat and see if there are any other things we need to address. So
one question is, how many clients on average can a single coach manage through the Pumpkin Plan and the Prevendus Group, per year?
Oh, wow. How many clients? That's, you know what? That's a really interesting question. I would say that depends on how you want to coach. So if you're doing one-on-one coaching, you could meet with you would decide how often you want to meet with your clients and how many hours a week you want to coach. And I will say this, as someone who has been coaching for 10 years now, unless you're an extreme extrovert, it's very hard to do back-to-back coaching sessions, right? But going back to Dr. Sabrina, for example, she's developed a small group coaching program where I will say that she gets a higher investment level from her clients than she used to when she was doing one-on-one coaching, but now they're in a small group of 4 people. So she and the people who work for her, the coaches that work for her, coach a small group at a time, and she continues to grow because there are benefits that your clients get from being in a group. They get built-in accountability partners. They get the perspective of not just the coach, but from each other. They get the support of feeling like they're not alone. So there are a lot of ways that you could take these tools and modify what you can do. And the other piece of it is, as you gain in confidence and you gain a reputation in your niche and you're creating high value, you can get higher fees for working with fewer clients.
So another question that came in is, we're talking about small business is who we serve, but this question came in from Beth. Who specifically is small business? Is it micro business? What's the sense of an ideal customer of the pumpkin plan process?
Great question. And that was something that Mike and I debated a lot when we first started this,
right?
Because Mike had an idea that the business had to be a little larger on the small business spectrum, like let's say doing $1 million in revenue and at least 10 employees. But what I have found is that this absolutely works for a solo business owner. And I have actually taken a few solo business owners through this program myself who are now like their businesses are going gangbusters and they're desperately trying to like hire and grow fast enough. But what I will say is you need to think about how you want to structure your coaching and what your market can reasonably afford to pay you. So when you're working with a solo business owner who's maybe doing $100,000 a year, they are not necessarily going to invest $25,000 in a business coach, but $1 million company will do that without a lot of anxiety or thought.
All right, let's go.
Right? Do you agree with that, Mike?
I do. And there's tons of questions that have come in. So let me just go through them quickly. Next question came about time commitment. How long does it take to learn the pumpkin plan?
Yeah, that's also a great question. And some of these questions I will answer on our one-on-one, but there are 3 pieces to the program. And when you sign up for an interview, you're going to get a link to a little video that will take you through those 2 pieces. One part is self-paced, and I would say it's about 11 or 12 hours of self-paced video and answering some questions on quizzes. We also meet as a group once a month for an hour and a half. And we will do that for the entire first year. And then we also have additional, you also do peer coaching where you're going to get assigned to somebody, you're going to coach somebody through this program, and they're going to coach you through it. So you're going to get your own coach to help you pumpkin plan your business. So it is a few hours a month and the upfront time commitment of doing the self-paced.
Next question, I'll answer this one, came in from Shirley. Do you help with leads? We do, but I want to make sure you understand, Shirley, how. By affiliating with the Pumpkin Plan brand, it is one of the more frequently searched terms now for business coaching growth strategies. You will get SEO rights, meaning we will give you copy and content so you can distinguish yourself. So you'll get leads that way. It's an extraordinary way to get leads when people are actively searching for it, so it's immediate. The second thing is I keynote events. I don't know if anyone saw me speak at Imaging USA. I saw it earlier. I think some people were there. That was my most recent Pumpkin Plan speech. That was a few months ago. I think there's 800 to 1,000 people in the room. And I have the opportunity, with the host's permission, to introduce strategists in the room. So if you attend and we make public all the events we're at, I can point literally to you in the audience, and you have 800 to 1,000 people who are discovering the Pumpkin Plan right there. So also we get in leads directly. So people read the Pumpkin Plan, entrepreneurs read the book, they're reaching to our organization, speaking with Donna or our team and saying, who can help me with this? And we divide that up to the appropriate members.
Yeah, and what we do right now, so there are a couple ways that we divide those up. The best way, the way that I like to do it is if somebody has industry expertise, I like to match industries. So if somebody comes in and they are a personal trainer or they own a gym, then I like to match them with somebody who has expertise in that industry. And the other way that we do it sometimes is geographically. So right now we do have strategists around the globe, but there are some areas where I would love some. So for example, for whatever reason, we don't have any strategists in the UK right now, but we do get inquiries from the UK in terms of prospective clients looking for strategists. So we do match you, but we also are working on a new website where we're actually going to list our strategists right on the website so they can find you directly there.
2 more things in the questions. Sandy said she's having problems filling out the application in Firefox, but it's working in Explorer, I think, or Safari. But I can see other people saying it's working on their platform. So maybe Firefox not to use. Thanks, Sandy, for completing the application. Shirley asked, Shirley Winship said, I missed a little section of it. Is there a handout? There is a recording of this webinar available that we'll distribute. Donna, I think the recording is only available for a very brief period, though.
Yes. So what's going to happen is it takes a little while for the recording to render. And once we get the recording set up, we're going to send an email to everyone who was registered, and it will be available for 48 hours.
Okay. This question's in the Q&A, and actually someone just posted it in the chat too. When does the program kick off with the next group of strategists?
It will. We're working on that, and some of it depends on how long it takes me to get through these interviews. But it will be most likely somewhere towards the end of March to April in terms of the live meetings. But as soon as you join, you get access to the self-paced part. So what we tell people is get started on the self-paced, and then your live meetings will start a few weeks later.
Okay. Some questions about the tools we offer. We already talked about that. So I just checked the recording on what you get in the Pumpkin Plan Signature Program. Monique says, what is the program duration? So once you start training, when does the training end? When are you prepared? I'm repackaging this, but when are you prepared to start being a coach on the Pumpkin Plan?
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you asking me, Mike?
I'm asking you, yeah. When do you start? Like once you start training, when are you ready to start coaching?
So what I always say is some of that is based on what your own previous experience is. And how confident you feel about it, because some of our strategists come in and they're already doing some coaching. But what I will say is once you get through the self-paced part where you've watched all the videos and you've answered our questions, I'm comfortable referring clients to you. That doesn't mean that you know everything, but we're here as a resource to back you up. And we have a number of ways that you can access support and other information so that if there's something that you don't know, we're here to help you learn it. And the self-paced part, I'm going to give you a range. So the fastest anyone's ever gotten through it is 2 weeks, and that's pretty much binging. And more common, it usually takes people 2 to 3 months to get through the self-paced part.
Do you recall how long it took Dr. Sabrina? Because we just featured her, and she's had a radical growth. How quickly did she go? We
didn't have the self-paced portion when Dr. Sabrina joined.
Okay. So
but she was coaching using the program right away because she already had coaching clients and she just started applying the tools.
Okay, so you can use Pumpkin Plan with existing clients and to attract new ones. Kate asks, who is your ideal client? Now, I think you actually answered this. Who are we seeking for the Pumpkin Plan?
Yeah, so we did have a slide that talked about that. We're looking for people who have some experience with small business, whether you already have small businesses as clients, or maybe you were or are a small business owner yourself. You have an understanding of small business already. You have a passion for small business. You want to work with small businesses. Ideally, you're willing to create a niche for yourself and find a group that you want to specifically work with. And you are a lifelong learner. So you want to participate in all of the learning opportunities that we have. And you share our passion for small business.
So there's a couple more, there's a lot more questions, but there's two more that are distinct. We don't have much time left. I'll answer one, and Donna, I'm going to throw one to you, the last one to you. So for me, I see Beth says, how does the program help people get past mental blocks in their business? That is actually the biggest impediment to business growth is the entrepreneur's mindset. So every book I've written that I've strategically placed behind me here are around the psychology of what goes on in the mindset. So the Pumpkin Plan has that baked into the process. We address not just the strategy, but it understands the behavioral components of the entrepreneur. So it's baked in to the entire process.
Yeah, and it's not only baked in, Mike. We actually have a recorded 9-module program that is included with this, and you'll find this out. It's in the video that we made for the people who book an appointment. It's called Coach with Confidence, and it addresses all of the mindset issues that might trip your clients up and how to handle them.
So two more questions. It says, are you certified after the online portion? So once you complete the training, are you certified?
Yes, once you complete the self-paced part, you become certified. You get a badge that you can use in your email signature, on your website, social media, etc. And we encourage you to continue to come to the live trainings, because that's where you develop the mastery and the expertise.
Yeah, and an interesting question came in here. This is a great challenge. This came in from Jer. He says, or she says, I take these classes and get certified, but I've never built a business myself. Where's my credibility? Don't I have to build a business myself to be a business coach?
That is a great question. So there is a difference between a business coach, let's say, and a mentor. So if you're billing yourself as a mentor, you're saying, I've done this, and now I'm going to show you how I did it and help you do the same. A business coach is coming in, or a consultant even, and saying, I have expertise in this one area. I have the tools to do it. And the credibility piece, I get it. I ran into that myself. And that is one of the advantages of being affiliated with a program like this, because you can say, I've been through the training. I have these resources at my fingertips, and I have a whole team behind me. So if there's anything I don't know, I've got other people to rely on. So even though you might be a solo coach, you have a family, a team behind you that you can reach out to for help.
I do a sports analogy here. You never want a coach from a football team to walk on the field and suit up and start playing. It is two distinct skill sets. A coach is someone that can help implement a strategy and plan and design and can see the forest from the trees, while the entrepreneur is navigating through the trees. It is a 1-2. So if you feel compelled that you have to prove you've been able to grow Apple computers to help someone grow Apple computers, I think you're going to be stuck. If Steve Jobs had a coach who never grew an Apple computers, but helped Steve Jobs. So understand it from that perspective.
Yeah, and Mike, you hit on something really important, that the value of an outside advisor is to help the client who is got all this information swirling around their head. They're overwhelmed. There's a lot. Everything looks equal. And somebody from the outside can come in and say, here's what's important, and help them pull that out. And so you're really acting in that role of really being that coach, as opposed to, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do. You're helping that client see what they need to do.
Okay. So there's a lot more questions that have come in. What I encourage you to do is click on the link to apply. We will work with you one-on-one and answer questions. There's more content on the website, but apply now. The link is in the chat. We showed on the screen earlier, and we'll answer further questions. The vast majority of questions have been answered. There's just different versions of where it's been asked, but there are some unique ones. So we're not trying to disregard it. We just want to be respectful of your time. I did promise one more tip, and this is what I want to wrap on, is I've found the greatest way to become a high-valued coach, or high-valued anything, quite frankly, is to offer something that's distinct and different. When I watch cars race down a highway right outside my office window here, very quickly it becomes a blurred line. All the cars are the same, and maybe a pink car goes racing by and you notice it for a second, but nothing notable happens. I don't go home to my spouse and say, hey, hon, you wouldn't believe all the cars that drove by today. It's a blur. But I will tell you, if a giraffe goes lumbering down the road, I'll notice immediately because it's distinct. Now, we can reverse the scenario. If you're in a zoo and you're looking at the giraffe exhibit, at a certain point, you're like, okay, I'm done here, and another giraffe won't compel you. But if a car comes racing through the giraffe exhibit, that's noteworthy. It'll probably be on every news channel. Different stands out. If you want to be a high-valued coach, you must find a way to be different. And I encourage you to identify your own signature program. Use the one we've developed for you. If you want the fast path, develop your own. If you want the longer path, you choose what's right for you. But the goal is to distinguish yourself extremely so that you get noticed. Because when you get noticed, you get attention. When you get attention, you have an opportunity to sell yourself at a high value cost point. That was my final thought. Don, I want to let you give everyone a thanks. I do want to thank everyone for attending. I want you to know how we're excited for the people who are interested in joining Prevendus. Also, if this is not the right time for you, it's been a privilege speaking with you anyway. We hope you've taken significant value out of this presentation and can drive your coaching business forward. So thanks for joining us. And Donna, the last words are yours.
Yeah, so my last word is this, because I know that we didn't have time to get to all of the questions. I just posted my email in the chat, although it's getting lost a little bit. But you will get another email from me tonight. It will have my email address. You can hit reply. So if there are any questions that didn't get answered, feel free to email me those questions. And also, if you've made an appointment to speak with me, then of course I will answer all of your questions at that time. So I want to thank Mike for joining me. It's always fun to do a webinar or any event with Mike. And thank you all for taking time out of your day to hear our story. And like Mike said, I hope that you all took away something valuable. And I believe I'll be speaking with at least some of you this week. Okay. All right. So if you want to watch the recording, look for an email later this afternoon. Okay.
Bye
everybody.